Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Mustafa Ali as a SmackDown main eventer? I'm Ollie Davis, this is the other one Lugo, and welcome to the Wrestle Ramble review edition of SmackDown, where we are kicking off with a cracking main event.
A very good main event. An excellent main event, one might say.
A main event in the new era that actually had change in.
Okay, so we got a bit of stick yesterday for the Raw reviews that we did for being, quote, too negative because we thought there wasn't enough change in the show. And you know what? Change takes time. Rome wasn't built in a day, some might say.
Yes.
And yet, somehow, SmackDown felt like a completely different show this week. It felt like actual change had happened.
Well, it didn't feel like a completely different show, but it did feel like the start of change. You know, like little bits were moved.
The first episode of a new era.
And like when people say change takes time, yeah, and this is a good first step in change. It's not like when the brand split happened and there was that roaming cam, the commentary desk positions were changed. That roving cam has just gone, by the way.
Yep.
There were different promo styles to separate the two brands. Like, that is a big switch up of change right away. And that wasn't what we were looking for. It would have been nice, but what we were looking for was just a little bit of change, especially after the McMahons announced that on Raw. And then, segment by segment, there was literally nothing.
Yep.
There was no change on the show.
It was all the same.
But SmackDown kicked off with change, had a little bit of change in the middle, and ended on, a bit of change as well.
I would say that there was quite a lot of change by the end, and the tag team section had a big amount of change in there too.
Yeah.
And I thought that actually throughout the show, there's only really one, maybe two storylines that have really continued from TLC, being the Miz and Shane McMahon co-bestie storyline, and the sort of triple threat feud between Becky, Charlotte, and Asuka.
Yeah, it's a real shame that Randy Orton Rey Mysterio storyline wasn't continued on this show.
Well,
but hopefully next week.
We know that it's been taped next week, and we got a bit of flack yesterday as well. I say a bit. We got like a couple of tweets, and a few people said we gave away too many spoilers from Raw next week. So we will avoid doing any SmackDown spoilers this week. But
they are in the news if you want to see them.
Yes, but spoilers. Randy and Ray are not on next week's show either.
Hey, you just said no spoilers.
That's not a spoiler.
So many people aren't going to watch now. Anyway, this main event was a tag team main event of Daniel Bryan and Andrade Cien Almas.
Oh, mate, already.
What a dream team.
Already, I'm in.
Any combination of those two, I'm in. They could be facing each other.
Yep.
As heel versus heel, face versus face versus heel, as a tag team, as a heel tag team, as a babyface tag team. So very much behind that. And who are they facing? AJ Styles, okay, fair enough. He was the WWE champion forever, who never main evented a pay-per-view, but he's a great wrestler. The house that AJ Styles built, not much change there. And Mustafa Ali,
who was announced as the newest member of the SmackDown Live roster. He is now officially part of SmackDown.
He's all grown up.
Which is great. This was tremendous news. When they announced this, they put up a graphic that just said, hey, our main event tonight is AJ and Mustafa Ali versus Bryan and Almas. I was like, I'm so in for this episode. I'm so ready.
But I certainly was, after, just being conditioned by WWE, they give us something and then they don't follow up on it. So many examples this year. Apollo Crews, for instance. And I hear Mustafa Ali is going to be in the tag team main event. I was like, okay, so, he's going to get a little bit for over the Christmas period, and when the proper storylines have to start, he'll evaporate away again. But they follow that up. Just Corey Graves almost mentions it offhand. Oh yeah, he's part of the SmackDown roster now.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I was like, wow, okay, that's really important to build trust in me as a viewer, because you delivered something last week, which was that Ali Bryan segment, and you followed up on it with another step, and it makes me hopeful for what they'll do with the rest of the 205 roster.
That is the key for me here, and I mentioned this in my review as well, is that it really does give us hope that, because they're 205 Live, as great of a show as it is a wasted hole of talents that they have there, because no one's watching the product. It is a show that very rarely cracks the top 10 on most watched things on the WWE Network. It's usually like 15th, sometimes even lower down than that. No one, as great as it is, no one is watching the product. So why waste that talent there? Why isn't Buddy Murphy in the upper mid card on Raw? Why is he just the cruiserweight champion on a show that no one watches, or on the kickoff shows? There's so much that Hideo Itami, Akira Tozawa,
Like, the man gets over.
He's so good. Like, why is he? And he's not done anything this year. Brian Kendrick, Gentleman Jack Gallagher. There's so
Drew
many
Gulak,
guys.
Noam Dar.
Oh man, there's so many guys that are there that you could do.
Alexander.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many guys you could do so much with. Like, bolster up your mid card, create a tag team out of some of them, fill out these positions. And yeah, Mustafa Ali going across to SmackDown Live really gives me hope into the new year that more of the 205 Live guys will find themselves going across to both shows as well, and actually just being more than, they can still do 205 Live, but being more than just 205 guys and be able to be in better positions on Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, I mean, like, for me, I think 205 Live, just logistically, the way it has to be live, the weight limit, just all of the stuff, no matter that it's got good wrestling, it's like, wherever it's placed in your taping schedule, it bores the audience. It tires the audience. I personally would drop 205 Live. I think it's been just over 2 years now.
Yeah,
it's you can drop it now, and it's not that bad.
It was a good experiment. It never delivered on its promise.
But like you said, I don't mind if you keep it either. The most important thing is to feature these guys on Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah.
Just to, like, what a great way to shake it up. Everyone's looking at NXT, but now I kind of didn't even really consider 205 Live.
Same
it was
here.
a blind spot in
in
my mind. But now, with I guess Lucha House Party has already come over to Raw, and now Ali has really, like, properly broken through into the main event. I mean, I've always liked Ali. The Cruiserweight. He was an alternate in the Cruiserweight Classic.
Yes.
I wasn't even supposed to be here today. And look where he is now.
Pinning the WWE champion.
Yeah.
I'd said in the review, in one match, one move, and one win, he already feels like a big deal on that show. It's incredible what they've done.
Yeah, so that's what happened in this match. It was just a really great match. Like, not 4 stars or anything, but just solid main event TV match. I'm talking that where you sort of progress characters and storylines, and it's really entertaining to watch. That's what you want from a TV match. You save your really good matches for the pay-per-view.
Absolutely.
It was extraordinary, and none of the guys felt overexposed because it's a tag match. You just do the bits that get you over. That's how week-to-week TV should work, if I was doing it. And it wasn't just Mustafa who shined. Like, Almas was so good.
Man. When he does that kick and back elbow, it's so quick. It's unreal. He is just untapped potential. Like, in Almas, we've been saying it since he got the call up earlier this year that he's been completely wasted up on the main roster. A legit guy you could have just slotted into the main event from the get-go. He was an already made main eventer, and they went, nah. Got an out for you. Oh, do you know what you'd be good for? Mixed tags. That's your role. That's your lot in life. Mixed tags.
Yeah, to look at Zelina Vega and say, you're a wrestler now.
You're the star of this act. That's the key to it.
But I thought, so as great as Almas was, as great as Bryan was, he cut a promo before the match, which was just brilliant. He got people to boo climate change in like a almost a cheer.
He got people to cheer pollution.
Yeah, that's it. That's the best way of putting it.
Because he said that Fresno has the highest pollution rates in California, and Fresno, as an audience, went, "Hey, look how great we are!" I was like, "No, you
We're number one.
You idiots! That's a bad thing." Great stuff. But because Bryan's such a good heel, it almost works.
Yeah. He's so good at getting genuine heat.
Yeah.
And of course he is. He's a marvelous performer. But I just thought he would really struggle because people love him so much.
Yeah.
But he is just as good a heel as he is a babyface. It's incredible.
It's something I was actually listening to after we did our review of Raw yesterday. I listened to the Wrestling Observer review that they did, and Meltzer made the point that, like, SmackDown has been a very good show for the majority of this year, but he says, like, the best thing on the show at the moment is Daniel Bryan. Like, that was Dave Meltzer's opinion. SmackDown is essentially being carried by the brilliance of Daniel Bryan. And his point there was that that's the one character on that show that's been done by the wrestler themselves. That's not a team of writers that's sort of doing that. That's Daniel Bryan's ideas and being like, this is what I think we should do with this character. These are the promos I would like to cut. These are the points I would like to hit. And when you talk about the McMahons, this is our new era. It's a new era of change. We're listening to the fans and everything. For me, I would like more of what we're seeing in Daniel Bryan, of wrestlers being given the opportunity to pitch what they'd like to do and being given more creative freedom in their characters and their promos.
Yeah, because earlier on in the year, Bryan was, he had to do the stuff that was dictated to him. Big Cass
feuds. You're short, mate.
And yeah, I wouldn't say it's all Bryan because you've got Becky Lynch on this brand, but that is another example of someone who has really run with their character.
Yeah.
And she got it over. It's her Twitter game.
But it got over by accident.
Yeah. But they, like, after a while, the WWE went with it. It's
Absolutely,
another example of the wrestler having more creative input into their character.
Yeah.
But Ali.
Yes,
Ali.
back to Ali.
He is such a good babyface.
A wonderful babyface in peril.
Yeah, because he sold for the majority of this match to build up AJ's hot tag. And, you could watch this match on Raw with Dean Ambrose or like the Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler working someone over. And I love Drew McIntyre, but just the way Raw structures their matches and how everything feels stale, I was like, okay, I'm bored. But Mustafa Ali, maybe it's because he's fresh. He's just got something about him that, like a Ricky Steamboat kind of thing. I don't think it'd ever work as a heel. But I said the same thing about Bryan.
Yeah, and this was, as you say, was like them. It was Almas and Bryan working over Ali for, I'd say, 90% of the match, really, which you might think was boring. But Ali's such a good babyface in peril that you're like, God, I want to see him get that hot tag to AJ.
And also, he'd have the occasional hope spot where he would come back with a move, and those moves were spectacular.
Yeah,
it was, but then it get cut off immediately, and you're like, I was into that.
So close. Yeah, I want to see him do it even more.
But he did this. He did like a rolling somersault X Factor over the top rope to hit Almas at one point, and then a sent onto the outside. I was just like, the whole time, it's not that I was so into Ali as a babyface. I was just happy for the guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a spot when Almas does his like double moonsault thing where he does the moonsault, land on his feet and do the moonsault. And I thought to myself, Ali's going to get caught again here. And then you get the knees up on the second moonsault. And I was like, come on, lad. Yes, get that tag now.
Yeah, and that's when he made the hot tag.
Yeah.
I was genuinely into that spot as well. There's another bit where he's out on the outside. He does the running Hurricane Rana on Almas to take Almas out. Off the steel steps, which was very impressive. And Bryan and AJ are just so good in the ring together.
Yeah.
Like, watching them again reminded me how much I loved that TLC match.
And credit to Almas on that Hurricane Rana spot as well, because Ali did lose his stepping and slipped ever so slightly, which they covered for on commentary as well. But Almas made it look he made it look like no mistake had been made.
So, like, AJ and Bryan have a few bits together, and the AJ hits up because the stuff happened outside with the Hurricane Rana off the steps. I was like, okay, so that's their side, and now AJ and Bryan are going to finish off the match.
Yeah.
Nuh-uh. AJ does a phenomenal forearm onto Almas once he's back in the ring, and Ali hits the reverse 450, so it's called the 054.
The 054.
Brilliant. He hits that on Bryan and freaking wins.
Yeah, I know, but although
okay, let's just bask in the glory, as Keith Lee would say, of Ali winning.
And
then we can say about that.
Ali's selling of pinning Daniel Bryan as well, and like they put it over massively on commentary of just like Mustafa Ali just pinned the WWE champion, and it's so weird. Like a week ago, if you'd have said, could you imagine Mustafa Ali in a main event position on SmackDown? I'm like, nah, do you know what? I could see him as definitely a solid upper mid card guy, very much in that mix. By the end of the show, I was like, maybe he could be a main eventer on SmackDown. Maybe he could be. Maybe I've just been conditioned by this company to think a guy like that cannot be a top guy.
Yeah.
And yet, here I am being like, maybe he could be.
Well, it's not just that it's a guy in 205 Live can't be a top guy. He hasn't been on the... He's only 2 weeks new to SmackDown, really. And AJ does a great job putting him over.
Yep.
He's raising his hand, pointing at Ali.
Yep.
And it's like there's so many ways you can go from here. And I don't know Ali's ethnicity, but I feel like this is a very rare example of WWE putting someone over as a person, as a character that's not tied to their ethnicity, who's not like just a white guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like even the women are put over as, well done, you're a woman. It's like that only the guys can do stuff. Only white guys can do stuff that's not tied to who they are. And yeah, it was such a wholesome win.
Yeah, it really was. Really nice.
But now we can talk about that landing.
Yes, okay, so, oh man, I mean, I saw it at the time and I went back and watched it a couple of times afterwards, but yeah, Ali sort of missed the 054 and landed very, very hard on Bryan. Some people are saying it was his arm that he landed on, some people are saying his chest, some people are saying his neck. Bryan made his way to the back on his own, but he did need to be helped out of the ring from fan reports that were there. Reports are that Bryan backstage was like, I'm absolutely fine. I have no issue with the spot whatsoever, and I've got no qualms with what Ali did. But you can hear Ali audibly apologizing for hitting him very hard. And even
as he's pinning him, he's like, I'm sorry.
He's like, I'm really sorry. And I think
feud.
And Bryan's like, it's okay. And then, and you can even see after the pin has been done, Ali's got his hand on his chest to be like, sorry. I'm really sorry about that. Don't tell Mr. McMahon I did a bad thing. He's not watching backstage. He won't know what I done.
And Bryan and AJ, like they're at they're at the top there, and they are working very hard here to get this guy over, which is just beautiful to see. And that's how it should be done, rather than in like the 90s and the old days where the main eventers would actively keep those people down. Maybe that's why this felt like such a refreshing change for SmackDown. And like I think Bryan, he knows what the atmosphere is like in WWE. So he not only did he put Ali over really strong here, and it really makes the 054 like a really devastating finisher. Yeah. It's one of the most visually impressive ones in the company, I think. And he, just like how Justin Gabriel's normal 450 used to be really big in the Nexus days, and like that would be the last move people would get hit in the beatdown.
That was like the Nexus move.
Yeah. And for Bryan to go back and reportedly be like, no, I'm totally fine, even though he probably is pretty hurt. That's fair play to Bryan for helping out a guy.
It's Pritchard always he says obviously in his Pritchard, so you got to take it with a pinch of salt, but Pritchard always says that he knew when a guy was going to be like another top guy in the company, because Steve Austin would be like, I'm not sure that guy can be a main eventer. That was always Pritchard's like, oh, okay, the top guy's worried now. So I think we've definitely got a main eventer on our hands here. But as you said, like this change of attitude within wrestlers these days, where it's just like, no, we want more, we want to elevate more people, we want to get the more people that are on top, the more people I can face as champion, the more fun I get to have as a wrestler.
Exactly. And, Bryan's obviously a very unselfish
Very much so, yeah.
Just really good main event, and just a real wholesome outcome. Very happy for Ali. It's the part of the show where we say thank you to our pledge hammers, those who donate $25 or more a month to us on Patreon. Thank you ever so much.
You help keep the lights on.
Yeah, you also, of course, get our 2 Patreon-exclusive podcasts every month for $5 and $10 backers. Everyone else, hey, go and check those out.
Exactly, and our $5 and above backers will get our review of ECW December to Dismember 2006. If you're wondering why we hate the 2006 era of WWE, go and listen to that show, because it's a classic example of why that period of WWE absolutely sucked.
Yeah, is our review longer than the pay-per-view again?
Slightly, yes.
That's all I ever want.
Yeah, it's about 2.5 hours, I think.
So thank you very much, Britain's next top model, Phil Stockford.
Oh, Phil, what a
We've
nice
met him
guy.
In the flesh
we
now.
have indeed. He is a guy I always want to impress. He is a guy I strive to impress on this channel.
He's a video editor.
He's a very...
And we're pretenders.
Yeah, very much so. Stem Cell, Robert Stemmen.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, nice, important stuff.
I trust you as Sam Farah as I can throw you.
My favourite name.
It's an awkward pun.
Sean L. Blandito Blandford. It's a new one. New name for Sean Blandford.
Sean Blandford.
He requested
Far
it.
from Bland.
He requested it, saying like, I've been far from bland for a long time now. Let's have something new.
So he's just the Spanish bland. It's
Exactly.
like it's another El Generico.
Exactly, yeah.
Shimmy Gang Got, Zachary Robert Crowley Barros.
Nice.
I don't know what that means.
No, neither do I. Have a cup of tea, Lee.
I
Tea,
think I
Lee.
will.
Yes, I will indeed.
The real true heel, Len Bray.
Oh, he's such a heel. Caught in a Travis web. Yes. Spiders.
We're going on a Brian Huntley.
Yeah,
gonna hunt some
nice.
Bryans.
Charlie, jink it in. Well, okay, so it's spelled like Zyman, so I've called it. So I gave him the name Charlie. Drink it in, Zyman. But he let me know that's actually pronounced Zima, so it doesn't quite work anymore. So I might need to think of a different one. So for the moment, Charlie, drink it in, Zima.
Whoa,
Yeah, it still works, I guess.
Even weirder because it's spelt with 2 N's. Just to wrong foot you twice. Is it a silent N that doesn't usually exist?
No, it's a silent double N.
What are you talking about, Jerry Willis?
What are you talking about?
Strokes.
Another lad that we've met at the Prince Charles, King George Phillips. Nice chap.
Royalty. Joking Joshua Selig.
Oh, yes. Woo. He's not joking around. Noah the Ark Trombley.
2 of every kind.
Oh, yes.
There can only be one. Our legend.
There can only be one, and it is you, mate. Robert Spencer. Periods.
Good
Monty
grief,
Brown.
That was loud in my ears.
Sorry, mate.
Harder than its bite. Sean Barksdale.
Oh, yes. Dog references.
Yeah.
The incredible Jorge Henriquez.
Nice pronunciation, buddy.
Thank you very much, man.
Michael Sands of Time.
Oh, Prince of Persia. Kenneth Houston. We have a problem. WrestleMania X7.
Oh, okay. I went for space.
Oh, it's the same thing.
Bull Lift Club leader Johnny Motta.
It sounds like it's a Johnny Impact gimmick, but it's that's what he is.
Was that did Johnny suggest that name?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Bull Lift Club.
I'm guessing he works for the.
Sounds like the Bullet Club.
But it's Bull Lift Club.
Bull Lift Club.
Well,
thanks, Johnny.
You're the leader of it anyway, my friend. And finally, for this episode, JVF, Jack Van Fleet.
Woo!
Yes. We'll have the final lot of $25 and above shoutouts in tomorrow's NXT review. It's a SmackDown review, Maggle. I love it. We got us a flying Uso.
Unlike Raw, which opened with a 20-minute long in-ring promo, which feels very normal for Raw, despite they say the change, SmackDown did start with a very seismic change, and not one I like. But I'm willing to see where it goes. So it opens with the entire roster backstage, which I much prefer. It's a much more succinct way of delivering a message. You can get this whole segment done in 3 to 4 minutes, whereas as soon as you bring that outside, you've got to do ring entrances. You've got to pause for what chants, and it just takes the drama out of it a bit. Sometimes it works, of course, but this was a much better way of doing it. So the entire roster are backstage. Shane McMahon is on a podium, and he's talking about how on last night on Raw.
Boo! And the SmackDown lot they're the only ones buying into this Raw versus SmackDown nonsense.
Raw were like, what's a SmackDown? And the McMahon family, he says the McMahon family ushered in a new era.
Yeah.
So they're really focusing on the McMahon family side of this.
Well, absolutely, yeah. The McMahons are in charge. They are the authority figures across Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah. And Shane just says so many times here, "Can you feel me?" Did you? It was like the unresponsive thing from December to Dismember, where he just like, there's going to be change. Can you feel me? There's going to be this. Can you feel me? Can you feel me? SmackDown roster. Can you feel me?
Because I feel like Shane often acts like a preacher to SmackDown Live because he's one of the boys. He's not like on Raw over there where they're all separated. No, he's one of the. We're all in this together, like High School Musical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This wasn't annoying, Shane. I did like him up there. And Biggie is just munching on pancakes.
Well, you see, really? I thought it was pancakes as well, but someone said it's beef. He's like munching on a steak while looking at Bryan.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh my
he's
God.
And I watched it back in, but I couldn't quite make out what he was eating. But he is like staring a hole in Bryan while he's doing it with his massive white eyes.
That's fantastic. I mean, another thing that you can do with backstage stuff like this rather than that. I mean, this did seem to be live, though, because Shane fluffed a line and they kept it in. Quite an important line he fluffed.
Or
we'll get to that.
It could just be that he just kept fluffing the line and they were like, do you know what? It's the best we're going to get.
48th take, Shane. But,
Tommy Wiseau in the room.
This was really good because the camera, just a few clips here and there of people in the crowd reacting, and you really got a sense of their characters, like Bryan just not doing anything, Big E doing what you just said. Almas was like, I don't care about any of this.
And he was saying things like, we're going to have new faces and fresh matchups. And it cuts to a shot of Gallows and Anderson. And you can almost see the process in their head going like, yes, about time.
Which is very good foreshadowing for what happened later.
Exactly, it's time for us to step up.
And it just puts these characters who are usually distinct and separate together. And you can see the contrasts and how they react to each other. And you're like, you know what? You've actually got a very diverse bunch of characters there. But we don't always see it because they only play off one or two other people.
Yeah.
So I was a huge fan of this, of just the presentation. But then came the part where Shane says, now it's time for us to, thank formal general manager, Paige. Come on up here, Paige.
So, here's a fun fact for you. I didn't know that Paige had been taken off as SmackDown GM until after the show. Because I thought he just said General Manager Paige, and then was like, let's give her a round of applause, thank you, Paige. And it wasn't until I went on to Cage Side Seats later, it was like, Paige has been removed. I was like, was she? And I went back and rewatched, I was like, oh god, I missed that very big detail. Because he literally says, she's not going anywhere.
Exactly.
And I was like, oh right, so she's remaining as SmackDown GM. That's interesting.
Yeah, so how this bit played out was formal general manager Paige, of Shane speaking there. Paige steps up onto this podium thing, and Shane goes, don't worry, she's not, like you said, she's not going anywhere.
Yep.
What's the exact role? The role has changed. So I'm like, oh, okay, so they're not called general managers anymore. They'll be called something else.
Yeah.
And then he says, well, everyone say thank you, Paige. And this could easily be, cheers, Paige. You're a great general manager. You are honestly the only main roster authority figure that everyone really likes.
Yep, you've not been emasculated. You've not been cut at the knees. You have just been great.
But then, like, the more I rewatched this 3 times because I was like, what is Shane saying? And I was like, no, he's saying former general manager.
Yeah.
But even then, you're like, okay, the role's changed to what? I don't know. But then they say later on in the show, I think, that Paige is no longer general manager.
I missed that line.
And so that's a shame. PW Insider have reported that the real reason this is because as part of this new era, we're not going to have general managers anymore.
No.
Which I'm not against. I don't mind not having everything centered around authority figures. So we'll see where it goes. At the moment, it looks like it's just going to be the McMahon family.
Well, exactly. They're the general managers. It's just they're not called the general managers anymore.
Yeah.
And it's it's basically WWE listening to their fans when we said we're really sick and tired of heel general managers, and they've gone, okay, so you don't like any general managers. That's fine. We'll just get rid of all of them, and we'll do a blanket release of all of them, and we'll just have us in charge instead. So the other report that I saw was that she's going to be headed for the kickoff shows.
So that was speculation.
Oh, was it speculation?
Yeah. So I think Cage Side Seats did this wonderful thing that they like to do is in their rumor section where they say PW Insider say this is happening, but then you go on PW Insider and they say, yeah, if she could go anywhere, maybe the kickoff show like Booker T's used.
Oh, okay.
So not strictly true, just speculation.
Good work, Cage Side Seats. That's in my SmackDown review as well. Cheers, lads.
I mean, they do say at the top, none of this should be taken seriously.
Yeah.
So no more Paige, which is a shame. And going by her tweets, she found out about this a couple of hours before the show started.
Yeah, she was posting up a lot of office gifs, the US office, not the rubbish UK one. And that's going to draw me some heat. And and it very much felt like she was doing them mostly ironically of like, today's going to be a great day. Like, I'm in for a great year ahead of me. Very much being like the Michael Scott thing of like, he thinks that he's headed for a great day, but something is terribly going to go wrong and he's going to have a very bad day. Yeah,
so that's a shame. Hopefully... I really liked Paige in the general manager role. I don't think... I guess the only other thing is just a normal manager role. Maybe
she could go back to managing Absolution.
Yeah, maybe, but she's so good. Like, I think she would overshadow the majority of people she manages.
I mean, she did when she was in Absolution.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's like a figure like Nia Jax, who's got their, like the Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman dynamic. Someone who's very powerful. Yeah, it's... And especially with the movie coming out, you would think that you'd want her in a really prominent position on TV.
Well, that's why she was brought back to TV, right? That's why they gave her the general manager role because
she had to retire.
I know, but what I mean was like she could have retired and then just not done anything with her. But they wanted to keep her on TV to help promote the movie and make the movie seem like a bigger deal. And now they're like, we just don't want general managers anymore, so see ya.
Yeah.
Until the movie comes out.
2 months before.
Yeah, 2 months before. And then they'll be like, oh, yeah, the movie. That's right. That's why we wanted you in this role. Oh, we need to find something you to do now, I guess. Maybe it will be the kickoff shows. Maybe you should move into a manager position. It's a shame. Like I've never been the biggest fan of Paige. Like, I thought she was very good as a wrestler, but I was never like, God, she's brilliant and she's the best and I want to see her wrestle all the time. Very sad when she had to retire because of a tragically young age. And I liked her in the role. But I was never. But I'm not looking at this being like this is the worst thing or this is like a really disappointing thing. I'm just like, that's a shame.
Yeah, I'm a bit more sad about it. So I do like Paige.
I think I'll be honest. I think I was actually sick and tired of the general manager thing anyway, because the general manager thing never really felt like it meant anything. And
it did when Shane wasn't around.
Well,
and
yeah.
Paige was the only authority figure.
It was quite nice for that period of time, I suppose. But it really, I mean, I'm sitting here going like, I'm not really into the idea of general managers, but the McMahons are just going to be the general managers, so like nothing's really changing there.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
But at least there is change.
Yes, there is change.
Promise changed. Next up, we got Becky Lynch with an in-ring promo, who was just awesome as always. She said, "I don't care who's running the show because the man's in charge."
Exactly. She said, "I'm not here to hear corporate nonsense. I'm in the ring to conduct real business. I'm looking for a fight." So good. And yes, Paige, bloody love you. And the reason why I bloody love you, she sold the loss. She sold the loss at TLC. She didn't walk down to the ring doing her regular entrance, smiling away.
You just said Paige, by the way. You mean Lynch.
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. Yes, sorry, confusion. Lynch, that's why I bloody love you. She stormed down to the ring, pissed off look on her face, which was like, I had my title stolen from me on Sunday, and I'm going to sell that I'm annoyed. Not like a lot of other wrestlers, just like, I'm just going to do my regular edits. Like Ronda Rousey after being beaten up by Charlotte Flair, just coming down the ring, hey, I'm all right, me. Oh, actually, a bit ouchy.
Hurting on the inside.
Oh, it's
as Renee would say.
Or Michael Cole, either one of them. But yeah, so she sold the loss, and I thought that was great, and then she sold that even further in her promo. Loved it. Thought it was great.
She said, "Come on, McMahons, give me Ronda Rousey." Charlotte interrupts, say that she'll get the next shot to become that 8-time champion. And then Asuka comes out and says, I'm the champion on this brand.
Hello.
Do you not want this one?
I'm the champion,
yeah. The only one you can contractually fight for.
Yeah.
Forget Ronda. That's what she says. And then Vince McMahon comes down when they're all talking over each other. And the crowd went crazy because he wasn't advertised for this show. Mm-hmm. And, it's always fun to hear that.
No chance. It's fun to sing along with, yeah.
But again...
Praise him for booking a terrible show.
Yeah, Vince was lackluster again. His heart didn't seem to be in it.
Yeah. It's kind of sad, really. We didn't say this on yesterday's show, but it is quite sad to see him out there. Because he looks... I mean, he is old, but he looks so old.
Yeah, it's like he ages a lot more every time.
Yeah,
he's off telly. I mean, I don't want to be ageist or anything. No. He's still very competent, but it's weird how he is ageist. He explicitly says to people, "You're too old to be on TV." This has been a thing going back decades, and he's putting himself out there. I know the reasons why. It's just.
Well, I mean, it worked on Raw, didn't it? It popped a rating.
Yeah, big rating. Yeah, so he tells Becky and Charlotte to get over it.
Big comparatively.
Yeah, but from the lowest ever recorded rating of Raw
to the best one since August.
Yeah,
good work.
So he tells Becky and Charlotte to get over it and just do things by themselves and that's what they're doing right now. They're just asking for a Ronda shot.
Yeah, it was a really weird thing. And Vince McMahon essentially said to Becky Lynch, "You're a terrible millennial who just wants things handed to her." And I was like, I bloody knew you were behind that millennial man promo. It had to be you.
And Vince says, well, we're going to book Asuka in a title defense now. And it's Naomi.
Yeah, Naomi comes out and she's like, I think I should get my chance. Granted, she was meant to have had a title shot to show on the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal that never came to fruition. So finally, she got her one-on-one championship opportunity. Her first since like the middle of last year, apparently. And I said this in the review, but this is something that we've been sort of waiting for the majority of 2018. In fact, all of 2018. The chance for Naomi to have an actual wrestling match and to show off that she is actually a very good wrestler. But she's just been sidelined all year long because the brand and the company thought, Carmella, that's who we should be pushing as the face of this division. And so, unfortunately, Naomi and Asuka and a few others just had to sit the sidelines and do nought. And like with this, the winds of change. Can you hear them? Can you hear the winds of change? Perhaps we're going to be able to see some of these people step up and be like, no, I'm actually going to be a title contender. Maybe the Iconics will get something to do on SmackDown other than lose or win in Australia. So yeah, I think this is a good thing.
Yeah, the match was pretty decent. It got a long amount of time.
Got really good by the end.
Yeah, there were a few really nice spots there, especially the Naomi springboard move into the Asuka lungbuster into the Asuka lock, which was the finish.
Absolutely. And there was loads of like really good reversals of the Asuka lock into pin attempts. I thought it got really good by the end. No real mention of the fact that they were a tag team.
I know, right? That was literally 3 weeks ago.
I know.
Charlotte and Becky are out there, but off of this, I'm not like I want to see Naomi in a wrestling for the title, but this is what you should be doing. You should be putting these people in these spots, giving them amount of time to try and get over with their wrestling.
Absolutely.
And this time it didn't connect with me, but if next week it could be Sonya Deville. Hey, all of a sudden I'm in.
Absolutely.
So that's how you build stars and get people invested. So big tick there. Big
old tick. And it did although Vince essentially said at the start that we are ditching away of the antiquated automatic rematch clause, which is really going to be good when your Straight to Hell video goes up on Cultaholic this month, and you're wanting spoiler. One of the things you want to send there has already gone. It's already been.
They even listened to me before. They bugged the room.
So I think this is very much a good thing, but to the point I was going to make was that they've got rid of the automatic rematch clause, but yet by the end of this, it was still setting up the fact that there still is a triple threat feud between Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Asuka, because Asuka's posing with the belt while the other two stood up and looked at her. So maybe we'll get something with them at the Rumble, but one has to imagine that Becky's going to be in the Rumble.
Well, we'll see. I'm really into all three of them, and I'm excited about. There's so many ways they can go with that feud,
really
which is what you want.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Miz knocking on Vince's, or the McMahon family was how this door was labelled.
Absolutely.
And that Vince eventually came out. Miz was knocking for Shane like a kid, saying, is Shane coming out to play?
Vince comes out and says, Shane can't play today. Shane can't come out to play today.
He said that after doing some weird knocking bit that presumably he's been working on for his stand-up. he comes out and he goes, was that a... I could barely hear anything he was saying.
I know. I'd really struggled to pick up what McMahon was putting down.
Yeah, and that's not because in the Shane way where he just says the wrong words. Yeah. It's just because he was... just a bit mumbly. Was that a child's knock? Was that a adolescent knock?
Yeah.
And so I reckon Vince has got heat with knocks. I didn't say this yesterday. I've got a theory that Baron Corbin's going to get genuine backstage heat off the back of his kayfabe heat.
Oh, yeah.
Because the McMahon... No, you were the reason we were doing so bad.
So terrible. It is all your fault, Baron. But Miz basically wants to speak to Shane because he wants to pick up this storyline of them being the best tag team in the world. And he's asking Vince for his blessing, essentially. And they play this up as if, Miz was going to propose to Shane. That was essentially what they were sort of playing off on. And it was quite funny, actually. I did enjoy this.
I thought it was very well performed.
Yeah.
On Miz's part.
Yeah,
He's really good at acting stuff like this.
Mumbly Vince wasn't as great.
It was funny. Yeah, but Vince was bad, and he seemed to fluff his own line as well. Because he said, okay, I won't give you Shane, but I'll book you in a tag match tonight, and you've got to find your tag partner. Actually, no, I'll find your tag partner.
Yeah. It was very, But either way, he's setting up a tag match for later on.
And there was this amazing spot, I don't know how they did it, where Vince walks into his back into his room, and Miz goes to follow him, but the door slams. As the door slams, Miz's hood comes off. This was incredible. It's a gimmick hood.
It's on a piece of string.
I think so. I was trying to work out how they did it. It can't be the gust of air because the door wasn't that wide open.
And his hood is quite tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Who would have thought of all the things on this show that would blow your tiny little mind? It was the Miz's hood.
It was a working hood. So then we got Rusev and Lana cutting a promo backstage. I really like Rusev's character.
He's so great. He's just like, I've got everything. I'm so handsome. I'm a genuine hunk. I'm such a hunk. I've got such a great beard. You could sell my beard on eBay and make jumpers out of it for kids.
And he stumbled over a lot of his words. But I didn't mind.
Don't mind it, mate.
He's got this big grin on his face. It's weird for someone to stand there with this beautiful blonde wife, and he's talking about how handsome he is, how great his beard is. That is a heel gimmick.
Yep.
And 99 times out of 100, that is a heel gimmick.
But it's
but he's such a baby face.
When he first did the handsome Rusev thing, and he said it was to Big E, he was like, why do you call yourself Big E? We all can see you're big. I don't call myself handsome Rusev. And that started this handsome Rusev gimmick. Or in my eyes, you're now the biggest baby face on this brand.
So he was a heel back then.
I know, that's what I mean. But it's he's so good at doing this, you've sort of buy it, I mean, you are doing the dashing Cody Rhodes thing, but you're not being a dick about it.
I think it's just because he's so... When he smiles, how Vince goes, when Ronda smiles, the world smiles with you.
Yeah.
genuinely with Rusev. If he's smiling, genuinely, I'm already laughing.
Mate, when Shinsuke Nakamura plays that video package later on, I've never wanted to watch Total Divas more than in my entire life. I have actively avoided watching that show for the longest time. But as soon as I saw those clips, I was like, if I could just have like a really good supercut of all the good Rusev scenes, then I might genuinely watch that.
Do you remember... Did you ever see that clip when Rusev was live streaming?
Yeah, we're not watching that again!
And Sheamus is round, because they're very good friends, like they're best friends in real life.
Yeah.
He's going, should we watch another episode of Total Divas? Sheamus doesn't know Rusev's live streaming. Yeah. Goes, I'm not watching that S word.
Yeah.
And Rusev goes, we're live streaming.
Have you seen the video that Xavier Woods put up on his Twitter? Because... he loves Tyler Breeze, like they're really good friends. And he was watching the Tyler Breeze match against Dean Ambrose. He was watching it live, by all accounts, on his laptop backstage at whatever show they were at. But it was live streaming it in a building which had terrible Wi-Fi. And Rusev and Lana are sort of like watching him watching it, and then just keep laughing at him when the stream freezes. Because he's like, oh, and it literally is like Tyler Breeze gets a cover, and the stream is like, no, I want to know if he wins. And Rusev goes, I bet you when you get that Wi-Fi back, the match will be over and he's lost. And was like, no. He like refreshes the Wi-Fi, and the second he gets it back, Dean Ambrose gets the pin, and you can see Rusev laughing his ass off so much behind him. And he turned around to like point him and go like, don't laugh at me, like that's my friend, he's just lost. And he was looking at him so much that he missed the replay, so he missed the finish again, which made Rusev laugh even more.
Brilliant. Yeah,
He's
so
great.
Rusev is super over. And then he says, like, after saying how handsome he is, he says, and look at Shinsuke Nakamura. He's got an 8x10 here of Nakamura in his new Scrubs outfit. He goes, he looks like Sonic the Hedgehog.
What awesome.
Which is an actual current pop culture reference.
It is, yeah.
Because of the Sonic the Hedgehog the horrible movie poster.
Well, yeah, because when he says Sonic the Hedgehog, I look to my left in my office with my framed Sonic poster from the old Mega Drive days, and I'd be like, God, he looks awesome. And then I think, oh no, maybe he's just talking about the new movie version where he looks a bit weird, a bit gross and weird.
Next up, the Rusev stuff was a Nakamura bit later on, which we'll talk about, but that is to build to their match next week.
Yes,
the Christmas
Day episode.
Then we got probably the dullest segment on the show, but it wasn't too bad.
I thought Joe was good.
Yeah. So they've been promoting Samoa Joe's apology all night to Jeff Hardy because he keeps on calling them out for being an addict. And Joe comes down, and Jeff's already out there to hear it. And Joe says, well, it's not really an apology. It's an intervention.
Yeah.
Because it's Christmas, and that's when demons take hold of people. I thought it was a very good idea and concept.
And I liked Jeff's promo beforehand as well. I'm not usually massive on Jeff promos, but he was essentially saying, like, you know, Joe's right about my past. I do have my demons, but every morning I wake up and I look in the mirror, and I've got my demons with me, but I'm thankful to be alive, and I'm thankful to be here doing what I do. And I'm like, yeah, that's good, man. Good for you. Then Joe, this absolute dick, comes out and be like, oh, I know, but really... It's Christmas time, You're going to have a drink, you're probably going to get in a car, and we all know what happens there. And Jeff just turns out and be like, really, you're just insecure because you've been here for 2 years and haven't won a title yet. And Joe, you can this look on Joe's face, which is like, you mother effer.
Yeah.
How dare you bring that up?
And the crowd, it was a line delivered in a way where it was like, ooh.
Ooh, actually, that's a bit cutting.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
And like Joe's just been saying, well, it's really nasty stuff. Ooh. So that it was fine. Joe goes to attack. Jeff hits a twist of fate and leaves.
Yeah,
it's nice to. It was a short, whatever. It was just that I felt on the whole show it was the weakest part.
Yes. Then we got The Miz teaming with Mandy Rose to take on the formidable winners of Mixed Match Challenge Season 2, R-Truth and Carmella. It was very funny as well because The Miz comes out like looking for who his tag team partner is going to be, and the Greg Hamilton goes, and his tag team partner, the crowd goes, CM Punk. But no. It was, in fact, I need to call her Maurice then, Mandy Rose. But really, that's why Mandy Rose was in this position, so R-Truth could think she was Maurice.
Which was funny.
Good comedy. Good comedy.
They talk about can't wait to be number 30 spots, can't wait for their trip to WWE HQ, which I can't wait for myself. And then he says, and I can't wait to face you and Maurice there.
Yeah. Good comedy. Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was funny. Dance break, skull crushing finale, Miz wins. Yeah. It took about less than a minute, I reckon it went.
And that's what it needed to be. It was only an angle, really.
Absolutely.
And Corey Graves really made me laugh so they do the dance break, and then Mandy Rose interrupts, but then Carmella takes out Rose, and that gives Miz the opportunity to come in skull-crushing finale on Truth to Win. And Corey's like, Mandy made the ultimate sacrifice because he's so on Mandy Rose's side. He like spins it to be this brilliant victory by Rose.
And then he got really excited because you're like, she was checking me out. She was checking me out at ringside.
Oh, by the way, David Otunga was apparently on the show again.
Yeah, I missed him completely. Did not know he was there until they showed him on camera, and I was like, oh, you're not Byron Saxton again.
Then we got a Mustafa Ali. Oh, that's when they announced that Corey announced that Mustafa Ali is now on the SmackDown roster.
Yeah.
Then we got the same run of promos advertising the NXT call-ups.
Just lastly on that Miz thing, they've announced the Miz TV with Shane McMahon for next week.
Did you see what Otis Dozovich tweeted?
I did not.
So
I bet you it's amazing.
Yep, it is. When these same NXT call-up packages, so EC3, Lars Sullivan, Lacey Sullivan, Nikki Cross, and Heavy Machinery, those promos ran again. We don't know which brand they're going to.
No.
Otis tweeted, Tucky, we're on our way to Tuesday nights. Yay. And then with a load of hashtags. And Tucker's replied saying, we don't know where we're going yet. And a few sites reported this as, oh, well, he's leaked the thing. I'm sure we have as well. But what actually happened, I went back because I thought, this is Otis. This seems like Otis being silly.
Yeah.
You go back a few more tweets. He said the exact same thing about Raw when they ran the NXT promos. It's like, we're going to Monday, Tucky!
Tucky!
With the exact same hashtags, the exact same wording.
He's great. He's so
very
good.
Funny. He just wants to have fun.
And he's so much fun to watch.
But they really should, if they're going to go anywhere, they've got to go to Raw. Because as we saw in the next segment, the SmackDown's tag division is stacked.
Yeah, and we haven't even seen the colognes.
Oh, I like the colognes.
I know you do. I'm making fun.
So we've got the three main ones of the champions, the Bar. You've got the New Day. You've got the Usos. The Usos came out here and they were cutting a promo. But as was foreshadowed earlier on with the opening roster segment in Shane McMahon's address, Gallows Anderson came out. And
Carl Anderson cut almost the exact same promo I cut on our TLC review, which again just proves that WWE watches these shows. It's undeniable at this point.
Yeah, so they say, they have great matches.
They're great teams.
The Bar and New Day, but you're not having that matches every week. We didn't have a match last week, and you got a rap battle segment.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's a fair point.
And they said we haven't been on TV since August.
Insane.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, so Gallows Anderson said, now we're going to start taking things back. And they had... I really enjoyed this match with the Usos.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. This was really a lot of fun.
There was this... Carl Anderson is so good. He's so underrated. He might be one of the most underrated main roster guys.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, people... Tyler Breeze, obviously, and Cesaro, but... Carl Anderson, at least Breeze was on telly this week and has had like a few open challenge answers and Cesaro's tag team champion. Carl Anderson is amazing. And there's this spot where one of the Usos is going for a dive on Gallows. Out in that great camera work, because you don't see Anderson coming. He does the sort of, what do you call, like a high kick to cut off the Uso dive. And that was going into the ad break. I thought that was a really good spot.
I thought it was really good. Did this go through 2 ad breaks as well? Like it really got quite a bit of time. I mean, it was more ad break than it was match, but they gave it a decent amount of time. And then before you know it, the Bar's music hit, and you're like, all right, well here we go. The Bar are coming out to cause a distraction, yada yada yada. And because you're so focused on this, you then miss that Sanity ran in from the crowd and just started laying waste to all teams. And I've got it in all caps. Sanity come out for the DQ. Yes, because I'm so glad to see Sanity back on TV, looking dominant, doing something. And Killian Dane sat out there on the outside and there's this big old crossbody onto, I believe it was Jey Uso on the outside, laid everyone out and then looked up to they didn't challenge the Bar or anything like that. They essentially just walked up the round to be like, "Do you see that? It's pretty good, right?" And the Bar then sort of like confer with each other and be like, well, we can't be made to look like chumps here.
Yeah.
So they go down and it's like, oh, we're just going to kick them a little bit. Yeah, we're also brilliant. We're the tag team champions. And as I said in the review, it's the first time in quite some time, I'd argue, that the tag champs and the tag team division has been taken seriously. And I'm all for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of... Again, there's so many ways they can go with this. Hopefully they don't choose New Day, Bar and... the Usos again. As much as I love those three, it's great to mix them up a bit.
Shout out to Corey Graves on commentary as well, because Gallows hit a Baldo bomb And Corey Groves like, I mean, I would call that a Baldo bomb, but no one remembers him. Nice.
This hasn't made me go, oh wow, Gallows Anderson are restored to where they were, or Sanity are at their promise.
Absolutely
but
not.
It's optimistic. This is an optimistic segment of where they can go, and I hope they continue down that path.
When you're playing a classic board game, you have to move spaces before you get to the end.
See, we recognise that change doesn't happen overnight.
Absolutely not.
But you have to take one step.
You have to at least roll the dice.
And then the last thing we'll talk about, because the main event came after it, which we've already discussed, is the Shinsuke Nakamura promo. He's there in his blue jumpsuit, and he just plays this montage of Rusev clips.
Yeah.
From Total Divas to be like, I'm not scared of you, mate. Look
what a
you're
goofball you are.
Yeah, and it's just this wonderful montage of clips of Rusev in a thong.
Yep.
Just mowing the lawn in Total Divas, semi-naked.
Cooking naked.
Yeah.
Just having a whale of a time. Just being... I want to hang out with Rusev.
Yeah.
If I could pick any WWE guy to go out for a drink with, it would probably be Rusev.
More than Otis.
Otis would want... Well, I mean, as a vegetarian now, he'd want to go and eat steaks all the time,
point.
and I wouldn't have as much fun with that. But I could certainly go out for a drink with Rusev.
Yeah, can I have the Undisputed Era? And I can sit with them, and we can be cool and make fun of other people. Look at that person over there, yeah.
But what if they could start making fun of you?
Well, no, I hope they wouldn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair enough. Yeah.
Well, that's what a terrific episode of SmackDown.
I really enjoyed it. Very, very high smacktastic.
I'd agree there.
Yeah.
Just so much wrestling as well.
Yeah.
All the wrestling got a lot of time.
And it was all good.
Happened.
Yeah. Shocking. And it was like, we've said this about SmackDown before, but it almost feels like this should be like your standards for SmackDown, because you've got so much talent on that show that you should be able to put on high 3 out of 5s, 4 out of 5 shows each and every week. You've almost got even by accident you should put these on, because you just have good matches. You don't have to try.
There are so many combinations that are very, very good, yeah.
And we've got some new potentials in the main event scene of Almas and Ali. Even they could spin off into their own feuds either way. Like there's lots of like a good game of chess. A lot of pieces are being moved into place.
The more we talk about it, the Royal Rumble is not sold on what the championship matches are.
Nope.
I wouldn't mind a Bryan Ali match.
You're absolutely
right.
right. Yeah.
That's the way to make to get him solidified as an upper mid carder.
God, and they would have such a great match on pay-per-view. On pay-per-view, they would have an incredible match together.
Ali would damn near kill himself.
Oh, absolutely, to get himself over, yeah.
And presumably Bryan as well.
Yep. So I'm going to get this kid over if it bloody kills me.
Oh no, I meant Ali would probably kill Bryan.
So 054. Is it this?
His ring gear's so cool as well when he comes down.
Oh yeah, it totally looks like a Mortal Kombat character. Like a Mortal Kombat character from the future with all of his LED lights and whatnot.
Well, big win.
That's
all we've got time for today, though. So please click the videos that have just appeared on our laps to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk things, and this button right here, which will subscribe you to the podcast version with exclusive intros and outros. I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luke Owen, and that was Rambling.